Are we live, and can I have LMC TV tell me if we've got, thank you. We have video and audio. Folks paying attention at home, first of all, thank you for your interest in village affairs. This is the September 13 work session of the Harbor and Coastal Zone Management Commission. We are suddenly at the governor's order in person again, but because of the last minute change in protocol, we have had some delay while we make sure that we've got enough commissioners to make the quorum. With that, I will make a motion to open the work session. Do I have a second?
Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have Sharon on?
I see her.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, we do. We have a new commissioner, Sharon Torres. Thank you for joining us this evening. And this work session is for the folks at home who have followed our way of conducting business for the purpose of reviewing the completeness of applications. The applicants do not present at work sessions, but they're free to watch, and so we can let them know what issues we're interested in, and especially anything that we think we might need to see in order to move as quickly as possible to address our concerns and then eventually to a vote. We have two applicants this evening. I'm going to address 120 Osborne first. 120 Osborne was up before us for consistency at a prior meeting, and our file was fairly complete. We had a fairly extensive discussion of issues, especially around stormwater and the last few things that they had to complete with Keller and Sessions. But since they do not yet have some of their permits, and we don't want to close out our deliberations in case they need to change something to get a permit from county. We asked them to come back to us when they have all the permits done. We have kept this item on the agenda and told them that in deference to their timeline, we will keep it on and accept the final paperwork up until the day before, as long as Keller and Sessions has 24 hours to look at it. If they don't have their permit process complete by the next Tuesday, the day before our meeting, we'll take 120 off calendar. Does anybody have a strong feeling that we should do something different than that with this applicant?
I'm fine with that.
Thank you. Okay, we have a new application. Our next agenda item is 900 Rushmore Avenue, the Beach Point Club. Hopefully we've all had at least some opportunity to take a look at this. They intend to build a new building and a revised parking lot at the club. It's a landlocked. It's about 800 feet from the harbor, and the applicant says that that's going to minimize or eliminate any impact on, for example, policy 7. It's not significant habitats on state maps. 7A, it doesn't abut any of our LWRP's specific significant habitats. They raise policy 11, our floodplain safety policy. That has raised significant concerns, as it always must in this village. We can never not think about flooding, as we've learned from the searing experiences of just a year ago. They are at an AE 12-foot zone, and they've got a base floor elevation of 14.6 feet, and their floor is above BFE. We have often asked questions about cut fill. I note that they have prominently placed a cut fill table and have net negative fill. So that will lay aside a concern that we've spent some time on with other applicants. They do raise the archaeologically sensitive area policy 23, because in general, the area is an archaeologically sensitive area. but they have a letter from the Office of Historic Preservation saying that the state has found no impact in that area. And they have a SWIP, stormwater pollution prevention plan with erosion control measures. I do note that their plan as constituted includes about 5,000 feet more impervious area. Those are the sort of things that cause us to think carefully about the stormwater. For stormwater management, I tend to defer to our experts to walk us through it so that I know that my way of thinking about it makes sense. I'm going to want to talk with John Keller a little bit about what we need to fully understand the stormwater issues there. The thing that I think I most need for the meeting next Wednesday is a good understanding of the stormwater. There's nothing else that really jumps out at me that we need to address there. But that's speaking only for myself. I'm going to go around and see if other people have identified things they want to talk about. Commissioner Tobias.
I agree with you. My number one and only thing that I could really find was the stormwater, and just really would appreciate a clarification regarding their plan.
And we have another new commissioner, Georgios Moustafis. Do I have it right?
Yes, that is right.
Welcome to the commission.
Thank you.
So other than the stormwater issues we've already talked about, have you spotted anything that you think you need to deliberate and fully understand this application on Tuesday?
No, nothing more on this one. It's just the question you said, we have a letter from the Officer of Preservation as no impact for this one. Is that qualified adequately or?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's our call to decide, right? If we were aware of some local issue that we thought the state didn't fully appreciate, then of course we could look more deeply into that. The basis of it, I think, is that this is already a heavily disturbed site, right? They're not breaking virgin ground. They are they already have a pro shop and a parking lot. They just don't like the way the parking lot sits. It's oddly shaped, inefficient to get in and out, and they want to change the parking flow. So they are largely, dealing with a lot that they've occupied for a long time, and there shouldn't be much there of value. Speaking for myself, sort of understand that. Makes sense to me that it wouldn't have any impact. You don't expect there to be anything, archaeologically useful on a site that's already been in use for something else for years. But that's speaking for myself. These are our policies, and we can look for more information on them as any of us sees fit. So that's a note. You're going to want to talk to them maybe about how confident we can be of OPRHP's letter. Fair concern. Had you finished?
Yes,
Is that-
that's
yep.
it. Yes, absolutely.
Commissioner Torres. If there's anything else that that you'd like to be able to see or hear from the applicant, I want to give you a chance to be heard.
I don't have any other additional requests.
Okay, thank you. Our work sessions, when we have only applicant items, tend to be very short because we stick to letting the applicants know what we want to hear from them or what we want to see. I think the only thing that any of us know for sure is the completeness of the archaeological determination that there's no issue, and the completeness of their SWIP. I want to turn it over to John Keller to understand where we are on this one, because SWIP is largely a matter of compliance with the state manual, where I rely on John Keller. John?
Good evening. I had prepared a review back in July for the planning board. I have not reviewed the most recent submission, which is submitted on behalf of your board. But I took a quick look at it before getting on tonight. And there were a number of comments I had, there were two major issues I had. One was the floodplain, and the second one had to do with stormwater discharge. On the floodplain issue, they're proposing to put a small volume of fill within the floodplain area itself. And that's the area just, I believe it's north of the pro shop, in the area where I think they were proposing 2 handicap parking spaces. And they had proposed some fill off the side of the pro shop, which is within the floodplain below elevation 12. I had asked the applicant in my comments to prepare a cut and fill analysis, which they did, and they show mitigation of it, but their analysis looks at the complete site, and the majority of the site is above the floodplain itself. So although they're providing volume to replace the excess fill that's been placed on the site, they only have to mitigate what was put in the floodplain itself. But they have to mitigate it within the floodplain itself, not at an elevation above the floodplain, because you're not really compensating for that lost volume if it's above. And I believe their proposal to the compensatory storage that they're proposing is above the elevation 12. So I think we still have an issue with the fill that was put into the floodplain. It doesn't appear to be a lot of fill. It appears to be maybe about 40 yards, I've estimated myself. But knowing the board's policy of zero loss of floodplain, they have to mitigate it. They could probably mitigate it by putting a small wall on site and removing that fill from the plan, or they're going to have to find an area to increase the floodplain volume on the property. I'm sure they can resolve it, but they haven't as of, from what I've seen in the most recent submission.
Mhm. Well, we have been really steadfast in enforcing the no net fill rule on policy 11. So that's a good catch. I hadn't realized that the compensatory cut volume was outside of the floodplain area. That's a good catch. Thank you. You said you also had discharge issues?
Yes, they're proposing to mitigate the additional 5,000 square feet of impervious surface. They propose to mitigate that increased runoff in 2 different methods of mitigating it. One is in the major portion of the site they're using where the parking lot is now. They're proposing some areas of porous pavement. So the water would actually filter through the pavement into a gravel subgrade, where it would then infiltrate into the soil. The second method of infiltrating, which is on the north side of the property in the vicinity of the handicap spots, are infiltrator units, whereby they would also the discharge would go into the infiltrator units, and obviously it will infiltrate into the ground, but they will have a discharge from that point. And the discharge was not to a drainage system, it was to a graded swale along the roadway. And the water would flow along that grass swale to a point where it would enter the village drainage system to the west side of the property. I had asked the applicant to examine whether they could pipe that flow to the drainage system itself. It's a significant length of pipe to put in, and it's within an area of some large trees along the roadway, and they're concerned with the damage to the trees. So I had a conversation a few weeks back with their engineer, And I understand that the flow flows through there now, to the grassed area. And I suggested that perhaps they can reduce or increase the storage volume and the infiltration into the soil with the infiltrator system that they're proposing to reduce the discharge to that area. So although we'll permit it to continue as it does today, it'll be less flow than what is occurring today. And I see on the newly submitted plans that they've significantly increased the number of infiltration units in that area. So although they only needed, I believe it was about 12 infiltrators to comply with the stormwater regulations, I believe they're proposing 16 infiltrators at that location now. So they'll be infiltrating additional stormwater.
Okay,
And I
so
have to look at it in more detail, and I'll provide more detail with the memo I prepare for the board's meeting.
okay, thank you. That's very helpful. So on Wednesday, the applicant should expect that we're going to want to talk about whether the increased number of infiltrators is enough to eliminate the concern that they should be reducing the discharge or piping it into the system. You should be ready to address the mitigating cut volume to offset the fill, and that they should expect us to tell them they need a solution that puts the mitigation within the floodplain itself and not all the cut and all the fill in the flood volume in the floodplain and all the cut volume outside the floodplain. And I should note also that typically I didn't see anything on maintenance, and with a stormwater system with infiltrators, we're probably going to want to talk about the life cycle of the system and making sure that it's maintained over time, and that we're going to want to know whether we can rely entirely on OPRHP on the archaeological sensitivity. Those are the issues that we think we have, so the applicant can hopefully be well prepared for our session next Wednesday. With that, I don't have anything else on 900 Rushmore. Any other commissioners?
No.
Okay, we have run our agenda, a wonderfully short and efficient work session. With that, I will move to close the work session. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for your time, folks.